Well, I had to practice that, by the way, because I kept putting Blackwell and Mitchell.
Oh,
Blackwell
that was
first.
about to be like, what? We've known each other too long for you to be talking about you got to practice.
Listen, I had to practice. And I would like to shout out my sponsor, Danny Smith of Atlanta Curves Therapeutic Massage. Danny was on my show a few weeks ago, and she was an amazing guest. She gave me gifts, y'all. So just so y'all know, if you're future guests, bring me some gifts. But come on out to Atlanta Curves. She is an awesome masseuse. I did get a massage, and I am going back for my V-Steam soon. So if you're ever in Atlanta or just want to come out here, just come on out to her business. She is the only plus size business. She caters to plus size women and doing the massages. So come on out and see her. Atlanta Curves Therapeutic Massage. Come on and get your massage, because I got one.
Now, what's a bee sting?
V as in Victor Steam.
Oh, steam.
Steam.
Bee steam.
Bee steam. Yes, ma'am.
As in victorious.
Yes, ma'am.
I got you.
Yes, ma'am. We talked about that bee steam on the show with Danny, and yeah, y'all need to go get one. She said that some women was having orgasms because the steam is so hot, but she said it helps with your lady part.
Yeah.
And it tightens you up. And as I told her, I'm already tight, so I can't get no tighter than what I am. But I
love women's shows. I love women's shows because we just go and say whatever. And then the engineers are normally men. And they're just like, they're conflicted, Chrissy. They're conflicted because they're just like, I want to know more, but I don't.
Exactly.
I want to know more, but I don't.
But yeah, it's self-care is what it is.
Oh yeah.
Self-care is what it is. And you do have to have self-care, ladies. It was a time where I didn't know anything about self-care. But with the phenomenal people that came into my life, Regina Sunshine and Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell, they taught me self-care, self-love, self-reflection, self-awareness. And I thank y'all. I thank y'all. I really do, because when I met you, you was over Bold Plus magazine, and you gave me an opportunity to write for you.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome time of my life.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was absolutely a lot of fun. Oh, what I miss. What I miss. What I miss.
Think about it. When I met you.
What?
Ooh, Lynita. Think about the conversation that we were sitting up in Starbucks. Was it Starbucks or was it? It wasn't Starbucks. It was, what was the name of that restaurant in Birmingham?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and you better direct this, because we talked about a lot of stuff that you might not want on here. So just tell me, because I don't want you giving me that old cross-eyed thing that we do. I don't want to do that.
It was a good time, but it was also a learning lesson for me.
Yeah.
And you gave me some sound advice that I didn't take.
All right, now y'all saw it. She opened the door. I'm gonna walk through. What we were talking about is marriage, and how you have, if you're serious about this relationship, there are roles and responsibilities that each person has to have.
Right.
And when you're talking about being with a man, not somebody playing one,
right?
Provider. Spiritual leader of your house and protector, and that's serious.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that he's got to cover down all the bills, especially in this economy. That y'all might have to partner up, but I am saying that he has to work. That's not okay for him to be homeless, living at home, and then talking about getting married.
Absolutely.
He can't provide for you.
No.
He can't provide for himself.
No.
If he's questioning if there's a God, who that God is, what he gonna call him today, he is not ready to leave the house.
I'm gonna say this: a healed mind makes better decisions.
I totally agree. And if he running from a roach talking about you get the raid, that's
Jesus.
we not doing that. started this. Y'all started.
Listen,
Did
this
y'all
is
see
what
that?
talking
They
thick is.
started
We
that.
talking thick. And listen, it was a life lesson for me. It
Yeah,
really was.
yeah,
But
yeah.
during the time, and I'm just going to be honest, during the time that you were talking with me, Regina was talking with me, and I had some other people that was talking with me, but in the mindset that I was in, I wasn't receiving what you were telling me.
Yeah.
And that's a hard place to be after you went through it.
Yeah.
But once you go through it, it's how you go through it and how you going to come out of it.
Well, you know, Chrissy, let's break that down. Let's come back a moment.
Mm-hmm.
You were in love.
Right.
And when we're in love, our decision making is compromised.
Mm-hmm.
Because all we want to see is the best in the person. All our eyes are able to see is the God in them, the good in them. We don't want to see the human experience that is happening right before our eyes. We do not want that.
Right.
But that's part of what we have to grow through too.
Mm-hmm.
And once we can get past that part, then we can be in a serious relationship, a grown-up relationship. Because when you say that you actually love a person and are in love with them, you love the messy parts too.
Right. And I did. I love the messy part. I love roaches, the bed bugs, and everything else that came with it.
I got you.
I loved all of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
So just so y'all know, the engineers are back there cutting up. They are cutting up back there. Oh my gosh. They are cutting up back there.
And like I said, it was a life lesson. It was. I learned a lot, honestly, about myself.
Yeah.
With it was trauma, but in going through the trauma, I was able to come out on top.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
And the only thing that kept me sane was God.
That's right.
God kept me here. If it wasn't for him, I promise you I would not be here sitting with you now.
Yeah.
Because I was going through, seriously, warfare. And I was in a hole where I didn't think I was going to come out. And I just kept praying. I had people in my corner praying with me, praying over me, praying for me.
Yeah. And
I'm thankful that I did, because not everybody have that.
that is so true.
It is.
That's a bill.
It absolutely. Well, we jumped right in, y'all. We jumped right in. You know, whether we talking about us, whatever we talking about, it's always having a good time here on Talking Thick with Chrissy. But again, I have my guest, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. She is a mother, a lawyer, business coach. She has so many hats, but she does well in all the hats that she wears.
Thank you.
And I would like her to tell y'all a little bit about herself. I know some things, but I'm going to learn a lot tonight too in my questions that I have for you.
Okay, let's roll.
All right. So tell my audience a little bit about you.
Sure. Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. I am a human being having a very human experience.
Right.
And I used to define myself by my titles. And I tell people often that I spend a lot of time cultivating an image that I felt would be not just acceptable to the world, but one that would gain me the love and respect that I felt that was lacking.
Right.
I didn't understand that I came into this world with everything that I ever needed, that I was loved, I was respected, I was supported from the moment God had an idea that I was going to come in here, you know? And there were various reasons for that, many that I'm sure our audience can relate to.
Right.
You know, when I was small, my parents divorced, and my mom had to go back to work, and sometimes she left us with people who should have been trustworthy, but they were not. And I was subjected to molestation as well as incest. And I hid a shame that was never mine. It was never mine. But you know, when you're small, you don't know that. Behind my mind.
Right.
I enjoyed school. I did well in it, and that was the one thing that no one and no bad experience could take from me. And so I worked, and I did all the things to get all of the recognition possible. And it got me scholarships, it got me awards and recognition. And just when I thought I was coming around the corner, when I got to college, I was sexually assaulted.
Oh, wow.
And so that just sent me right back into my little hole. And it was years later, like in my 40s later, that I finally got help, like counseling, to really unpack all of that so that I could disentangle my ideas about self-worth and identity from these awards, recognition, and accolades. And it was, and still is, a process, Chrissy. But I would not take anything from my journey. Of course, I would not want my little self to be subjected to that. But I also understand that what I was brought to, I was also brought through.
Exactly.
That does not define me either.
Right.
And so every day I have an opportunity to state who I am, what I am, how I serve, and to share those experiences with other people through my speaking, my books, my law practice, as well as being a good friend, daughter, wife, and mother. And so that is the person that is sitting before you today, one who is growing through it and figuring out one moment at a time.
You never know what people go through because we do not look like what we've been through.
Absolutely not. And that's purposeful. You know, we are taught, you go out into the world and you put on the battle paint. You put on the armor, right? And then when you come home and you're by yourself, you are not even given the option to be completely transparent and vulnerable with your lover. Right? There are so many people out there who will tell you that your guy should never see you in the real raw buff, like all the way. And I totally disagree with that. I feel that when the feminine energy is totally empowered, it allows her man to also be empowered.
Absolutely.
I mean, you think about back in the day when the elders used to say, if mama's happy, the house is happy. It's so much more than just happiness. It's joy. It's peace. It's fulfillment. And when mama's feeling that, then everybody can feel that.
Absolutely. Excuse me. I've been having a lot of this lately. I don't know what is going on.
It's the weather kicking up stuff.
It is getting on my nerves.
Yeah, it's the weather.
You made a point of saying, you know, talking about counseling.
Yeah.
I go through counseling, and when before I actually got there, I was ashamed to go, you know, but it has helped me.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have an identity growing up. I only knew what I was called. I only knew the bad things about myself. And because of that, the decisions that I made in my life reflected what I went through as a child and grown up into an adult. Yeah. And as you said, in your 40s is when you started to go through it.
Oh, yes.
Come through it. And that's actually when I started to come through too, in my 40s. And that was around the time that my boys was growing up. They was pretty much grown. And they left the house. I didn't have anybody to hide behind anymore.
Yes.
And that was when I had to figure out who Chrissy was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as simple as looking in the mirror, you know, and everybody was telling me, you know, say affirmations. I'm looking in the mirror at myself, but all I seen was disgust. All I could see was the negative words that was being told to me. Not even just on the outside of being called names, you know, being called fat, being called big, but on the inside, I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
And the day that, I don't know if I told this story before, but the day I was sitting on my bed And I asked God, why am I the way that I am? And I used to hear people say that, God's voice is just a whisper. Never heard it, wanted to hear it. I heard it that day for the very first time. And he explained to me why I was the way that I was. I was missing something in my life that I didn't realize I was missing. And it was love from somebody that I shouldn't have felt unloved with.
Yes.
But I did. But because of the way they were raised, they only loved me the way that they knew how.
Correct.
And I had to I had to get to the point of understanding that. So it's not as simple as going to counseling, but you got to give 100%. You have to give 100% of yourself.
That's right.
In order to get better, to be that better version of yourself, to realize who you are. And now I know that I'm loved. I'm worthy of love. And I didn't know that before.
Let me ask you something, Chrissy. I know that you're the interviewer, but I think it's really important for our audience to realize this. So you said that these affirmations, you're saying them, but all you saw in the mirror was disgust.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that we talk about why that is. The process of going through counseling is twofold.
Mm-hmm.
You have someone now that you can trust to release things with.
Right.
And it's not until you release things and make space for the affirmations to be seeded into you to work,
Mm-hmm.
that those affirmations can actually activate something
Right.
within you.
Right.
Because prior to that, you're trying to take, it would be like trying to take this bottle of water if it was already full and put in more water.
Mm-hmm.
You got to empty the bottle
Absolutely.
if you're going to be able to fill it up
Absolutely.
with something else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I emptied out.
Yeah,
I'm still emptying.
that's fair.
I'm still emptying because of the trauma from younger to teenage to
Yeah.
adult.
Yes.
And when I thought that I was okay, then I lost my mom in 2023.
Yeah.
So it threw me all the way back.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. It threw me all the way back, but it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
Grief is a process, and I think I have felt every emotion there is to feel, but I've allowed myself to feel it. I haven't held it in. I haven't been able to grieve the way that I need to, because I have so many other responsibilities. But when I feel myself wanting to cry, when I feel it building up, I just go ahead and let it out.
Absolutely.
Probably a few weeks ago, I believe I cried my hardest cry since my mom passed away. I was on my way home from my dad's house, and I was with the anniversary of her death, May 22nd. I went down, me, my dad, and my sister went down to her cemetery for the very first time. We went to see her plot. My dad hadn't seen the headstone, that we had picked out. And he told me one day, he said, you may not see that headstone until I go. Because he said he wanted to go. But every time he got ready to go, he was like, I'm not ready. And like I told him, Daddy, you don't have to be ready. It's okay for you not to be ready.
Yeah.
So finally we made the decision and we went down there. And I was okay. And I believed that I was being strong for him and my sister. But when I left my dad's house that night, I was driving home. And I cried my hardest cry. I had to call my son. He was like, Mommy, where you at? I said, I'm on my way home. But that was my hardest cry since my mom passed.
Yeah.
And I needed to have it. I needed to have it. I needed to get that out. And I'm still crying. But I think it's never been a bad moment with her. Let me just say that. I don't think a mother and daughter never be without challenges. You're always going to have, challenges.
Yeah, that's natural, yeah.
But my mom was my best friend. I talked to my mom before I moved down to Alabama. I talked to my mom literally probably 10 to 15 times a day. She would call me and we would just talk. And I was her tech person. Back when VCRs was actually in. She would call me up because she didn't know how to work the VCR.
Yeah.
And I would literally go through, like I was a technician for the VCR company and show her how to use the TV. And I went through that. And then I wound up moving down to Alabama with her and my dad. And God had a plan for the reason why I was down in Alabama. And I'm now the primary caregiver for my dad. Yeah, I'm watching him, and it's so funny. Every time I see him every day. And this is the man that his hand, he didn't need a belt. His hand was twice my size. And he would just be this with his hand. He didn't need a belt. And I'm watching him now, and it's just like, where did that strong man go? He's so fragile now. And I just watch him, and he's getting weaker by the day. But I thank God that he's given me the strength to be able to take care of him.
Yes.
And do what needs to be done. I didn't have to put him in a nursing home. I didn't have somebody have to come in and take care of him. Yeah. I'm able to do it. And then God has blessed him, financially to be able to take care of himself.
Yeah.
He don't have to be on Medicaid. He don't have to be supported by the government. My dad had a great job. He was the breadwinner in the house. My mom, she won the bread too, but she worked from home. She was that good homemaker. Yeah. These homemakers now don't know what they're doing, but she made sure he had 3 meals a day.
Don't be hating on the people who are doing the best they can with what they got, Chrissy.
Listen, I'm talking about me. I can't be a homemaker. I could never sit at home and I ain't got no man, so if I had a significant other, I couldn't be at home. I just could not, because no, I just can't. I got to be doing something. And I'm going to just put it out there. Cleaning the house is not my forte. My mama kept the house clean. You can go in there and wipe. Remember the glass tables? Mm-hmm. She had the glass tables, and those had to be Windex every day. She not only did it, she showed us how to do it. So we did that. But that's not me. That's not me. I do other things, but that ain't me. Cleaning is not my thing. So no, I can't. But yeah, I miss my mom though.
I know.
I do.
But you did a good job taking care of her. You know that she is free of pain, mm-hmm. and that she literally is resting in peace.
She is. Yeah. She is. She really is. Shout out to my mommy though.
Yeah.
I miss you. Yes. All right, y'all. If you haven't tuned in, I am talking to Lynita Mitchell. I messed up your name. My bad. Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. But we are going to take a break, and we're going to be back with my guest in a few moments.
Salutations. I just had to pull over because it's about that time. Well, Gio, what time is it? It's time to talk thick with Chrissy. Chrissy, listen, man. If you ain't keeping it Chrissy, you ain't slicky. You got to be slick as a tire so you won't be tired. And Chrissy got that thicky for your snicky. You already know. But anyway, Chrissy, always been love. You already know what it is. Definitely since day one, you always been somebody that cared. Always somebody that made sure that you was there for other people. So right now, we here for you. It's all about you. Don't miss it at Chrissy, y'all. Don't miss it at Chrissy. Talking Thick with Chrissy. Regina Global Sunshine Network and Status Network. Let's talk that talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back, y'all, to Talking Thick with Chrissy with my guest, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. We have been chopping it up and talking thick, just about different things. We just jumped in. I ain't even get to ask her the questions I got for her yet, but it's okay. But I know the serious side of Lynita. I know the business side of Lynita.
Yeah.
But who is the fun-loving Lynita? What is she like? What does she like to do?
Yeah, that's true. So Christine's producer, Regina Sunshine, is here. I'm going to turn this so the folks on IG see you cutting up. Yeah, there she is. And she said, I'm goofy. That's true. That's actually true. For the people who know me well, once we get behind closed doors and at peace, I'm a big old goofball. Before we started the show, I was talking about how when we were in grade school, you knew who the haters were because they always were covering their paper like this with the arm hook, You know that those kids in the back needed a little boost. Let them get an answer or two. Regina was like, well, they were probably cheating off your paper. I said, exactly. And I would get mad at the other kids who were doing the hook because it wasn't cool.
Yeah, I used to be one of those that had covered up my paper.
See?
I was.
Hater.
I'm sorry. I was.
Hater.
Because why you cheating?
Because they needed help.
No, because they didn't study.
It was so much deeper than that. Some of them were just dumb bricks.
Yeah. the class clowns that didn't pay attention in class and do what they needed to do.
Because they had learning disabilities that had not been diagnosed yet. Serious talk.
I was in college and I had this one guy that wanted to cheat off my pay. Sir, I'm a single mom. I'm working full time, ain't going to school. I need you to go home and study and do what you need to do for yourself. And that's what I told him. Because if I can do it, and I'm a single mom, working a full time job and going to school, then you can do the work.
Well, yes, okay, I hear you. But sometimes a person just needs a little.
You heard that? You need a little.
This from the person who was talking about what bee stings and stuff is hating on me because I just said sometimes a person needs a little.
Listen, you gotta try the bee sting.
Actually, I have. It's called the Queen's Throne, and so I have one that I do at home.
Really?
It was gifted to me, yes, and it is quite a liberating experience. I have it set up. I do my prayers and my meditations, and I sit on it, and I stay on it about 15 minutes. I release whatever is going on with me.
I didn't know that they had an at-home one.
I don't remember the lady's name, but I will send you the link, her IG.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, I'm going to probably go down to Atlanta Curves Therapeutic Massage first and get that one. But I would love to have one. She has one.
Yeah, then, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to do that first.
Yes,
I'm going to do that first.
But I mean, she has one that you can buy from her to take home. So you have some maintenance between.
That part.
Yeah.
That part. Yes.
Yes.
See, I can go get this done down there, and then I'm going to look to bring, get one at home because I got my own, well, kind of my own bathroom. I share my bathroom with my grandbaby. I'll be glad when she get her own house because she'll be 7 next month, but she refuses to get out my bed. I told her and her daddy and her mom, y'all need to save up to get her a bed because her arm is over in my face.
Yes.
The leg is on top of my stomach. Like, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah. She going to be 7. I need her to get out my bed. I need to be able to sleep because if I face her, I'm not sleep.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid that she going to hit me in my face because she has.
Yes.
That's not good sleep. So, yeah. So, that's probably going to be her birthday present. Her bed. She got to get out mine. But, anywho... I did have another question for you, and I'm trying to think because we were talking about the V-Steam, and it kind of slipped my mind.
It's okay.
Oh, remember we were talking about Bold Plus magazine?
Yes.
How I was the writer. I really enjoyed that, and I missed it.
Well, you were more than just a writer. You were also the advertising manager, remember?
I was.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. We forget so many things that we do
Yes.
because we have a lot going on, but
Yes.
you were really good too.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You. Well, you gave me the opportunity. You took a chance on me, and I really do appreciate it.
You're very welcome, truly.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Do you have any plans in the future to do another magazine or to bring Bold Plus back?
You know, Christine, and I laugh with Regina and David Good, who was the president of Bold Favor Media Group, that had all of the magazines under it. I think about it at least once a year, and then the reality of the work of that comes back, and I'm like, forgive me, y'all. Hell no. I'm just, and let me explain why. It was so much fun, and we accomplished so much. Atlanta Hottest Magazine, Soul Train Music Awards, the Bold Awards, and we did so many good things. Just positive images of black and brown people who were not perfect, but they were bold.
Right.
People who had turned their lives around. I remember the owner of Status Network, Jack Trey, was on the cover of Bold Favor. And I think that was probably the highest impression cover that we had ever had. I think about things like that, and it's exciting. It was intoxicating, but the sacrifice was real. It was always worry about advertising and the deadlines and making sure that Jack has his copy of the magazine. Oh my God! Jack, bring that in here. It's okay. We'll take the messed up copy. Yeah. He said he wore it out. I love it. But that Bold Favor magazine, Jack Trey, owner of Status Network. And, I look at Jack's interview was probably my favorite interview because I actually did this interview myself because, he's CEO, so can't just send anybody.
My mom was actually just telling me last week she read it all the time. She said make her cry when she start reading it, and she feels so happy by the end of it. Why you enjoy yourself like that,
but it's stories like that, y'all, where people come and they're just like, oh, thank you so much for featuring me, featuring my brand, telling my story in a way that makes it look like I have sense. Because, I don't know how much people actually read articles anymore. Right. A lot of times people are just trying to get words and content out there, and they don't really have a care of how they are portraying their subjects.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I feel that everybody deserves the best light possible. And Bold allowed us to do that. Bold Favor, Bold Plus, all of the titles of the company. But, like I said, there is the administrative part of it. I mean, we had over 30 writers around the world, and we had photographers and media people and the social media aspect and, advertising. And, I tell people all the time, if it had not been for my husband, Brian, we would never have been able to do all of that. Right. I mean, that man is up for sainthood. I tell folks all the time, like, for real. And people never saw him. But that's why I was talking about when we were at lunch that day, and I was telling you about the qualities of a man.
Right.
Your man wants you to succeed.
Right.
He is not good with his woman not looking right. Not as long as there's breath in his body. He is going to do what needs to be done. And if he's not doing that, he's not your man.
Absolutely.
And that's just what's up.
Simple as that. Just not. I'm sorry. But yeah, it was a hard pill, to swallow.
Yeah.
But in understanding what a husband is.
Yeah.
That's the part.
Yeah, I understand. And what a husband is, I think, is going to be depending on who the lady is and what the two people work out. When I was younger, I had very definite thoughts about what marriage between two people looked like. And now I'm just like, it looks like what they wanted
wanted to be. Exactly.
Their
exactly.
business. And the things that I'm saying today about my opinions, that those are my standards for me.
Right.
And I'm being very clear about that. If you good with what you got over there and it's working for you, do it.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. But I've learned, I've healed.
Yes.
And I now know what I deserve.
Yes.
That's the best part of it, and what I won't accept.
Yes.
I'm through being, the mother to somebody that's supposed to be grown already.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I was the fixer, but what I had to understand is that I'm not God. I can't fix you, and I can't want more for you than you want for yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was doing. Yeah. But now, I'm more of a spiritual being than a sexual being.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful feeling to know who you are
That's right.
and to know who you belong to.
That's right.
Because can't nobody take that from you once you do know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. Yes.
Thank you. I know that you are you got so many hats. We just had that discussion. But how long have you been an inspiring business coach?
So I've been coaching now for, gosh, time goes on. 12 years. I started in 2013.
Okay.
Yes. And the coaching came when I published my first book, which was Leading Through Living, a guide for women seeking growth through leadership. Mm-hmm. And I started working with the amazing Cynthia. She's now Jo Bear, married to a wonderful man, changed her name, changed her life, all that good stuff. And so I published the book, I was speaking, and it was Miss Cynthia who suggested that I also do coaching because I was constantly talking to people. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing that, and that's when things really started to take off for me. Because I became what somebody, I won't say somebody, Evangelist Stephanie Davenport named me a midwife of dreams, that I help people birth dreams.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is something that I love. And I'll tell people a lot of times, they will tell me whatever it is they have in their minds, and it appears all over the place, and I'm just like, no, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Mm-hmm. We just need to organize it, and I'm just spitting things like this, and then it's like, oh, can you repeat that? And I can't, because that was a download from the Holy Spirit.
Right.
You know, that was not Lynita. Mm-hmm. And as I've gotten older, and like you, become more spiritual, mm-hmm. less religious, right. I'm able to be a vessel for that. Right. And I really love that part of what I do. I love that part of what I do.
Yeah. It's so funny. I knew that this interview was coming up. And knowing you on the business side scared me to interview you. But you are so down to earth. So entertaining.
You know, it's funny because I dressed with real care for this interview because I felt that in my soul. I initially had laid out a blazer and some slacks, and I was like, that's going to freak Chrissy out. I did. I really did. And I was just like, let me go back in here. And so I got this T-shirt I got from Pooh Polly's Beauty Station, and then some khakis and some sandals, open toe with what do you call this? Neon pink toe polish. So I was like, she can't be intimidated like this. Can't be.
I thank your spirit. You're so
welcome. No problem.
I sent Regina a text message. I was sitting out in the parking lot. I said, Regina, I'm a big ball of nerves. She said, you're going to be just fine, laugh out loud. She was always doing that to me, telling me I'm going to be just fine. And actually, I am. I'm good. I'm good. When you have good people that you're talking to and just having conversation with, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
It does make it a lot easier.
I agree with that.
So getting back to your many hats.
Okay.
Can you give us some tips on basically how you juggle? You know, you're a mother of a teenager. You're a lawyer. You're a business coach. You wear so many hats. What tips do you have for the ladies out there that are basically all over the place and can't get it together?
Yeah, sisters, I'm going to tell you right now, I would say don't juggle, because I don't anymore. I used to. I was very, very bad about that, and it landed me in the hospital. I developed stage 4 endometriosis, which is the uncontrolled growth of uterine cells outside of the uterus. Mm-hmm. And for most of the population who develop endometriosis, it is non-threatening. 80%, as a matter of fact, they never know they have it. I was not part of the 80%. I was part of the 20%. Wow. And it led to a series of progressively horrible medications and then surgeries. With the last one 3 years ago, that I literally crossed over into the thereafter, and I chose to come back. Okay. And so I made a deliberate choice and said, I'm not juggling. I'm not multitasking anymore. I literally just take one thing at a time. It looks like there's a whole lot going on because of the way that I put the things out there after they're done.
Okay.
And so while it looks like I had like 5 different things that went on, no, it was just one thing that I was at. Like early, like today, I went to a 5K. After I left the 5K, I dropped off some documents at the UPS store. I spent some time with my mom. And then I saw 3 clients. I went home, I showered, and I came here with you. I did one thing at a time. But I did one big reel that had pictures from everything, And so it looks like I'm just all over the place, and I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and even like with the many hats, the roles that I played with having my law firm as well as my speaking, I generally only do one thing that day. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm normally seeing law clients. On Wednesdays, that is pretty much dedicated to calls, networking, preparing for any speaking engagements that I have. My coaching mastermind, Boundaries to Brilliance. So, and then on the weekends, I can spend time with my soon-to-be college student. My daughter just graduated from high school, and so she starts college in August.
Congratulations!
Thank you, and I am really working to get every moment I can before she leaves.
Absolutely.
I already had the ugly snotty cry. I did the day after her graduation. I sat there going through her pictures from the time she was a baby up to now, and now it's just a big old mess.
Yeah, and that's because that's your only daughter, right?
Yeah, she is our only.
Yeah, so I know that's hard when you just have that one, and they done went through all the chapters, and now it's time for them to go off and venture off into the adulthood.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, absolutely. That is so wonderful. Yeah, I went through those stages. I think once. My oldest one, no, twice. My oldest one went off to college, but he was back home every weekend, and then it got to the point like he didn't want to come home. But the funny story with him is when it was either 3 or 4. I was walking him to school one day. It was probably 4. And we was having an argument because he told me he wanted to go to college.
Did not want to go?
Did not want to go to college. I said, okay, we're not going to continue to argue about this because you're only 4. You got a whole lot of years before you go to college.
That's adorable. Oh, my gosh.
But when it was time, when he got to that age for him to go to college, he was ready.
Yeah.
He said, I need to get away.
Yeah. I hear you.
But now he's adulting and he does not like it. He does not like adulting. He wants to go back. He was like, Mommy, I want to go back and live with my grandparents. No, sir. You got to adult. It's time. But yeah. Whew, I got some stories on that. But I'm so happy for you and your husband and your daughter. That is awesome to get to that chapter that you're at now.
Yeah.
So y'all gonna be, what is it, empty nesters. I can't even talk tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Empty nesters. That's right.
I ain't never said that. Ain't been able to say that because I still got my youngest one that lives home with me. He ain't trying to go nowhere. I said, you gonna live here forever? Yes. But he do pay bills. So I thank him for that. So he's still adulting, but he's adulting in my household. But I love him.
Yeah.
And he's the one that made me a grandbaby. So I'm a grandmother. So yeah, it was enjoyable. So I know you mentioned that you are a lawyer. Would you mind telling my audience what type of lawyer you are, just in case they may need one?
Absolutely. Residential real estate. I do closings. Primarily focused on refinances, home equity loans, lines of credit, modifications, and assumptions.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Most of my clients are large title companies and larger firms.
Okay.
Because when you're talking about the bigger banks, like the Wells, the Rockets, they normally have 1 or 2 firms that they work with in a state.
Okay.
And then that firm will award contracts to smaller firms like mine.
Okay.
Yes. I also do estate planning, so wills, advanced directives, power of attorneys, and trusts. And of course, my favorite, business law. Most of my clients are small business owners and entrepreneurs. So I really enjoy my life in the way that I get to serve. Yeah.
See, I learned something new tonight because I did not know that's the type of lawyer you was. I don't know what type of lawyer I thought you was, but that wasn't it.
It's fun.
See, you learn a lot when you talking thick. Is there? Can you share with us a legal lesson that you learned in a way that shapes your approach to your business and in helping others?
Absolutely. Yeah. Her producer just said, "That's a good question." I'm like, yes, that is a good question. Actually, I'm saying yes, but I would like to share with y'all something that happened that was personal, that had legal implications, and it absolutely does shape how I run my business.
Okay.
So years ago, I had a very close girlfriend go through a very contentious divorce, and as part of that process, I was privy to some very intimate details of what went on between them, and she needed to get out quick, fast, and in a hurry, because although her soon-to-be ex had never put his hands on her, there was financial oppression and emotional abuse indicators there. And so she asked a group of us to come over and help her to move out, which we did. And, you know, we know our friends. Is that a fair statement? We know our friends.
Right.
And so we know how we got to talk to them.
Right.
And so for this particular person, what I said when we were packing up, I said, don't take nothing that don't belong to you.
Right.
I didn't say do not take anything that does not belong. Don't
Take
take
nothing that don't belong to you.
Okay. She took something that didn't belong to her.
Oh, Jesus.
And the value of it, should he have chosen to press charges, would have been a felony.
Wow.
And, you know, when you are angry, you put yourself and the people who love you in compromising situations, because I know that if she had thought it through, she would not have done that. And, you know, looking back, if I had it to do again, I would have just said, let me give you some money to hire some movers, you know, because if he had wanted to press charges, then it could have come to all of us, and we would have been named accomplices.
Right.
And if it had gotten ugly, we might have been raised to the level of co-conspirator, because we planned the move.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we don't think about those things.
Right.
Fast forward to a few weeks ago, we had lunch, and she was very upset because she thought that I had spoken specifically about her in a book I'd written several years ago. Long enough that when she was talking about it, the details that she was talking about, I could not remember, because I didn't mention anything that I just said now, right? But she was very angry, and she was insistent that it was her that I was talking about. But every detail that she mentioned, it wasn't her. And she said that she knew it wasn't her, but yet she still felt that I was talking about her.
Okay.
So number two, when people have not gotten the counseling and allowed the healing that's necessary, there is no reasoning with them.
Right. Exactly.
You can have everything in writing. You can quote them verbatim. It does not matter. If they have an idea in their mind about what happened, that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That's it, right? When I went home, I pulled out my book and I read it, and I was like, I don't see what she's seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it to my husband. He read it. He was, because I told him about what happened. He was like, I'm not seeing it. And he asked me specifically, he was like, well, did she ever apologize for putting all y'all in that situation? Well, the trick bag, right? No. No. That experience taught me in my business that there has to be a line. Right? Even and especially with friends.
Right.
I treat my friends as high-touch clients. High-touch as in I don't foster them off onto somebody else, that they get kid glove service, that I go above and beyond for them, and I especially detail and document, and I get retainers signed, even when it's just take a look at this for me real quick. That experience also taught me pay for expertise. I don't necessarily want to pay a mover or help you to pay for a mover, but that situation would have protected me and protected the other ladies.
Right.
And it might have protected her too, because she wouldn't have been there to do that thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Those are the kinds of things that I counsel people about when they are dealing with friends and family. Nothing wrong with dealing with friends and family. You can absolutely deal with them. But once they become a client, you have to treat them like a client, but you have to treat them as if they are a client that's bringing in oodles and oodles of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're emotional, you should never make those decisions. Allow yourself to think and be calm before you do something that you're going to regret for the rest of your life.
100%, Christy. 100%.
Absolutely. I have learned that, the emotions be all over the place, be making you do stuff that you never would have done if you had time to think about what you were doing. Take a pause. And that's what you need to do. When you're going through something, especially being, whether it's being abused physically, emotionally, financially, however it is, sit back and think before you do something that you're going to regret, because you ain't going to be able to take it back at that time.
Agreed.
You ain't going to be able to take it back, and then bringing other people into it. That's not right to them.
Yeah, but remember, folks don't think like that.
They don't. They do not.
Yeah.
Well, if y'all are just tuning in, I have been talking with Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. We are going to be back. We're going to take a break and be back with you in a few.
Hey, it's Gio, man, again, man. And I thought to myself, and I said, Gio, see, what they don't understand is you ain't going to keep telling them, so I ain't going to tell you again. No. You're not getting no tea. No. A little bit of good conversation, but it get a little relaxed and all corny. No. See, it's time to get thick. Real thick, like thick women, like thick conversation, like thick money. We finna talk thick with Chrissy. Yeah. That's what we gonna do. We gonna talk thick with Chrissy. Go holler at your girl.
I hope y'all enjoyed that break. Welcome back to Talking Thick with Chrissy. I am your host, Chrissy, and again, this is my guest, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. Once again, I'd like to shout out my sponsor, Danny Smith of Atlanta Curves Therapeutic Massage. If you have never had a massage, try it. It took me years to finally just go ahead and go. She does the V-Steam therapeutic massage for if you're having surgery. Go to her website, Atlanta Curves therapeuticmassage.com, and check out the descriptions of what she offers. I'll be getting my V-Steam hopefully next month. I done scheduled it. We are back with Lynita again. Lynita, can you tell my audience where they can reach you at?
Absolutely. So on IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. It is my name. I try to keep it simple. Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. Lynita spelled Lynita. I'd also invite you to visit my website, which is again my name, LynitaMitchellBlackwell.com, and join my email list and let's connect.
It has been a wonderful night, y'all. I have enjoyed Lynita. And I am going to ask her to give a final thought tonight.
Absolutely. First, thank you so much for having me on this evening and for your grace with me running so behind. Any of you who are in the Atlanta area, you know, you just cannot predict the traffic. And it was raining really bad here and it flooded out the connector. And so people were being diverted onto roadways they normally would not be on. It put me really, really behind. So thank you for your grace.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you.
We're just glad you got here safe, Lynita.
Thank you. So my final thought is focus on living an excellent life rather than a perfect one. The difference is that an excellent life automatically has grace built into it. And so when you set your goals and you don't necessarily hit them, you give yourself the grace to reevaluate and recalibrate as needed. Whereas a perfect life, you are living according to somebody else's standards. And you're never going to check all of those boxes because they were never yours to begin with. So focus on excellence rather than perfection.
That was her final thought. That was an awesome final thought.
Oh,
That was
thank
a
you.
powerful final thought. Yes, because there's many times that I have not given myself grace, and I need to. And it's been a learning curve for the last 5 so years.
Yeah.
But I would like to thank my guest Lynita for being here. Shout out again to my sponsor, Danny Smith. And I want to send a love to my baby Harmony. Grandma be home. She don't call me grandma. She calls me Homney. Let's just say that. I haven't figured out how to spell that yet. So when I figure out how to spell it, then I will post it. Shout out to my sons. I love y'all. Shout out to my dad. Daddy, I love you. And I hope y'all will come back. I hope y'all have enjoyed the show tonight. Keep having those thick conversations and real connections. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Bye.